All right, guys, what's up? Thank you so much for tuning in to part 2 of my 4-part series on the book that I read by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you saw part 1, then you got the 3 principles of how to handle people. In part 2, we're going to dive in a little bit more on how to get people to like you. And there are 6 principles that are going to help you do this. I'm going to go over that right now and jump right in. Keep in mind, guys, these are all notes that I've been taking down as I write down. Some are just quotes word by word that I'm taking exactly from the author himself. But I figure that that's probably the best way to get my message across to you, for you to get it and inspire you guys to either go read the book or implement some of the stuff that I'm putting into this video. So let's jump right in. All right, guys, so 6 ways to make people like you. These are the 6 principles that you're gonna learn in this video, right? Number 1, become genuinely interested in the other person. Principle number 2, smile. Principle number 3, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Principle number 4, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Principle number 5, talk in terms of the other person's interest. And the last principle number 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. So all right, guys, if these are 6 principles that you think will help you win in life, either in your normal life or your business life or in anything that you're doing, go ahead, guys, listen to the rest of this and apply and let me know if it helped you in any kind of way. So here goes, guys. Let's jump into the principle number 1, become genuinely interested in the other person. All right, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in the other person than you can in 2 years by trying to get people to get interested in you. All right, guys, keep that in mind. Most people are interested in themselves. It's kind of like when you look at a picture or if a photo, of a group picture, you're probably going to go to see yourself first before you see anyone else's. And so keep that in mind, that it's probably the same thing when you're talking and engaging in conversations with people. They probably have a lot more to share with you than they initially want to listen. But that shouldn't stop you from just listening there to everything that they have to say. Just show them appreciation, give them the time to, that you care enough to listen to what they have to say and the details involved there. And then he's just going to be a lot more interested, or she, and then listening to everything that you have to say. So keep that, guys, in mind. And remember that instinctively most people, are going to want to talk about themselves. So keep that in mind. Let people to, get what they want out. And then that way you can go ahead and then speak your piece. Say what you want to say, and you'll have their ear and their full attention. And also, some other tidbits to take away, guys. If we want to make friends, let's put ourselves to do things for other people. Think about things that are unselfish and thoughtful. So, let's just do things for other people, not always about ourselves, so that, again, when we're engaging with people and we want to have people's friendship or network with a certain group, they can see the value in us, and not just, our selfish demeanor, and that it's just about what we want and what we get out of things, but about what we're giving and the value that also people are getting by being associated with us. So keep that in mind, guys. And that is pretty much your principle number 1. All right, become genuinely interested in the other person. And we're going to jump into principle number 2. All right, a simple way to make a good first impression, guys. The first expression, one wears on one's face is far more important than the clothes one wears on one's back. That's a quote. And keep in mind, guys, that your smile, it's best to walk around with $1 million smile, okay? Because action speaks louder than words, and a smile says, I like you. It says, you make me happy. I'm glad to know you. Which is why dogs make such a big hit. I think for most people that grew up having dogs, and when they come home, they look forward to it, because when they see their pet is excited to see them. They're jumping at them, and there's this energy that regardless of how tired you are, these people are getting super excited to come home, to just come home to that warmth and love. So think about that when the next time that you're also meeting with people. Just be excited about them and what they have to say, so that when it's your turn, they'll reciprocate the same energy back to you. So keep in mind, the effects of a smile is powerful, even when it is unseen. So much telephone companies throughout the U.S. have a program called phone power. They suggest that you smile when talking on the phone. So they pretty much want their employees to smile throughout their sales conversations or over the phone, because this is what they believe. that smiles comes through in your voice. So keep that in mind, guys. So even, you know, for you guys that are entrepreneurs and maybe you're doing cold calls, you know, if you're trying to close a sale over the phone, you know, a smile will also come across on the other line to the person as confidence, as this is someone that sounds like they could do the job and sounds like someone that I'd like to work with as well. So keep that in mind. And move on to the next thing. You must have a good time meeting people if you expect people to have a good time meeting you. Again, some of the same stuff that I've been just kind of saying. Show them, you know, how interested you are in them and not just yourself and what they have to say, not just what you have in you know, when you're ready to tell them. So yes, and then also another thing, a quote here from a philosopher and psychologist called William James, who put it this way: action seems to follow feeling, but really, action and feeling go together. And by regulating action, which is under more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling, which is not. So of course, guys, create action. A little smile already says a whole lot before you say anything, you know, when meeting someone, either, you know, socially or for business. So keep that in mind. That's principle number 2. We're going to jump right into principle number 3. And I guess, again, guys, keep in mind, these are all notes that I wrote down, so it's a little scattered, but I'm trying my best to communicate it to you guys so that you can either go by the book or apply to some of the 6 principles that we're talking here in this particular video. So here we go, guys. Principle number 3. If you don't do this, you're headed for trouble, and that is the name. Sometimes it is difficult to remember someone's name, particularly if it's actually hard to pronounce, which is, listen, completely understandable, but it is not an excuse to forget people's name or not remember it. Listen, there are different techniques, and in the book, it goes over about possibly one, which is just asking for it again, saying, sorry, I didn't get that. I didn't clearly hear you. Can you repeat that to me? Or maybe it's a difficult name to, you know, understand, to grasp. So, and then in that case, you know, an easy way to hear it again is to ask that person to spell it. Say, oh, it sounds a little interesting. Do you mind spelling that, your name for me, please? And, you know, again, throughout the conversations, engage with them, use their name as much as possible so that, you know, you'll be surprised how much of an effect you'll have on that person. If, let's say, you're networking out somewhere, and then at the end of the day, once you've met them initially when you first got to that place, if you remember their name as you're exiting any location, you're going to make such a big impact on that person, because they're going to remember that, you know, you remember their name and the feeling that you made them feel and how good they felt when they were talking to you. So that's just a huge way to make a huge impact in a small amount of time, especially if it's for business. But again, it just works for anything, even in just, you know, any situation. And remember, guys, most people don't remember names. Don't be most people. You're not most people. You know, a lot of them just make excuses from themselves. They say they're too busy or that there's too much on their mind. But the ability to remember people's name is extremely important in business, in social contacts, as it is in politics, and it's anything. I'm pretty sure that you can find these, you know, how tons and hundreds of ways and thousands of ways that you can apply these principles in your life. Just sit down and think about them, especially if you know that there's a problem and you really don't know how to get around it or, you know, to the solution. And then again, here's another quote, and this one here is just from Napoleon III, Emperor of France, who was the nephew of the great Napoleon, not the actual, you know, first one. But he boasted that in spite of all his royal duties, he could remember the names of every person he met. And what was his technique? Simple. If he didn't hear the name distinctly, he would ask him for it again, right? And if it was a difficult name to pronounce, he would ask him to spell it out for him, guys. I just said that earlier. So again, those are 2 ways, again, to just get people's names again if you didn't catch it the first time. And another way also to just remember it and keep repeating it so that, you know, it'll just get ingrained in your mind. And again, during the conversations, he would just, you know, trouble himself with just repeating it as much as possible. And then again, he took the trouble to repeat the name several times and tried to associate it in his mind with the person's feature, expressions, and general appearance. So remember, guys, principle number 3, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. So there goes that, guys. That was principle number 3. We're going to move on to principle number 4. Hopefully all this is helping. As you can see, it is a lot of information. If I was to sit here and go even deeper into this, it would be a much longer video that I know most of you guys don't want to sit here. You want to get the chunk of it, go out there, apply it, use it, or be inspired to go buy the book and read it yourselves, right? So here it is, guys. Principle number 4, an easy way to become a good conversationalist. All right. So this one's going to be on being a good listener. All right. What is the secret, the mystery of a successful business interview? Well, according to former Harvard President Charles W. Eliot, he says, there is no mystery about successful business intercourse. Exclusive attention to the person who is speaking to you is very important. Nothing is so flattering as that. Listening is just as important in one's life as it is in the world of business. Right? If you aspire to be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener. To be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that the other person will enjoy answering. Encourage them to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. Come on, guys. There's so many things I'm pretty sure that you'd love to share with anyone on a daily basis about your successes, your wins, your trials, and how you've triumphed over them. The same thing goes for people. So ask them, feel free to jump in and just allow people to, tell you about them as much as they want to, as long as you're leaving the court open for them to share. And remember that the person that you are talking to are 100 times more interested in themselves and their wants and problems than they are on you or your problems. All right, so principle number 4, guys, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. These are gold nuggets, man. These are principles you really could apply in life, and I'm telling you, write them down, rewind back some of this video, and write just the core principles. You can look it up online. You can go buy the book and read it. It's huge. All right, guys. Principle number 5: how to interest people. Everyone who was ever a guest of Theodore Roosevelt was astonished at the range and diversity of the knowledge, whether his visitor was a cowboy or a Rough Rider or a New York politician or a diplomat. The President Roosevelt knew what to say. What was his trick? Whenever Roosevelt expected a visitor, he sat up late the night before, reading up on the subjects in which he knew his guest was particularly interested in. So he just did a little bit of research on the people he was actually going to be meeting with, and a lot of that was just going to help him navigate different situations in case there were objections that he had to overcome. Those were going to help him just move things along. And of course, when you're always putting the ball in their court and giving them the opportunity to speak and share with you, you're going to get a lot more out of everything and get what you want as well. So keep that in mind. But just a key, this one's a quick one, just a key thing. Talking in terms of the other person's interests pays off for both parties. So principle number 5 is going to be talk in terms of the other person's interests. And now, guys, we're getting to principle number 6, the last and final one: how to make people like you instantly. And here we go. There is one all-important law of human conduct. If we obey that law, we shall almost never get into trouble. We will bring countless of friends and constant happiness. But the instant we break it, the law, we shall get into trouble. And the law is this: always make the other person feel important. It is the urge that separates us from animals. Probably the most important rule of the world. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. How, when, and where? All the time, everywhere. There's never a bad time to make the other person feel more important, to genuinely express how the other person is making you feel good, and how good they are in your life, and the value that they bring to you. All right, so talk to people about themselves, and they will listen to you for hours. All right, so principle number 5, guys: make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. You don't want to come out fake. That's not going to help anyone, guys. So let me go ahead and give you guys a quick recap of the 6 principles over here on ways to make people like you. And these are the 6 principles. Number 1, become genuinely interested in the other person. Principle number 2, smile. Principle number 3, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Principle number 4, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Principle number 5, talk in terms of the other person's interests. And principle number 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. So guys, that was part 2. Those were the 6 principles in this video. And to recap, video part 1, these are the 3 principles for that video. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest and sincere appreciation. And number 3, arouse in the other person an eager want. And that was how to handle people. Today's lesson was ways to make people like you. So again, guys, this is a part 2 of 4-part series. Part 3 is coming up soon, but make sure to like, share this video, and leave any comments there telling me what you thought and any opinions. Thank you, guys. Until the next one, thank you.